Well, good afternoon, and here today with Shannon, who is the principal at Campfire.
Yes,
And,
yes. Hello.
I'm glad she's taken some time to talk to us today, just have a chat about where she is now and all the experiences that she's had in running a small business, because we're all faced with different challenges and everything. So thank you for taking the time, Shannon, and so tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm Shannon Briggs. I'm the founder and head trailblazer of Campfire Collective, which is a Memphis-based marketing company. We focus mainly in marketing strategy, public relations, social media marketing, digital marketing, email marketing. And our focus is community-based organizations. So those small profits or small businesses and nonprofits that don't necessarily have the resources to hire someone full-time in-house or hire a big agency, but definitely want some professional help. So, yeah.
That's cool.
We've
So how did you decide on this as a career?
That is a great question. I got my undergraduate and my graduate degree in communications from the University of Memphis. And I knew from a very young age, I wanted to do something in the communications world. Just didn't quite know what that was. And I graduated with my undergraduate degree in 2009. And as most people know, in 2009, there was nobody hiring for jobs. Right. We were in the middle of a recession. So I decided to go back to grad school and took my very first social media course and some marketing courses there, which spurred interest. And then I got my first quote unquote big girl job as the marketing and events coordinator for a local restaurant chain here in town, which basically included like everything under the communication sun. So if it involved writing or design or talking to people, then it was my job. And I loved that because I got to wear so many different hats, and it took that job for me to realize exactly the parts that one, I was really good at and to develop those skill sets, but two, what I really love to do. And that was the social media and really the community piece of it. I think that piece has always been the most interesting to me, is relationships between businesses and their communities. So yeah, I started freelancing on the side a little bit while I was at that job. Really just by word of mouth, people I got to know from the job were like, hey, we actually need help with social media. Would you be interested in, like taking us on as a client and just helping us? And I said, sure, that sounds great. Never like thought about working for myself, never really had interest in working for myself. Like I thought the dream was always climbing the corporate ladder. It's all I really knew about. Didn't know that this was an option. Yeah, and then suddenly I woke up like a couple years later and realized I had two full-time jobs, my regular day job, and then I would come home and I spent another 40 hours a week working on my freelance stuff that just grew by word of mouth over time. So at that point, I took the leap of faith and quit my day job and started doing this full time. That was 2015.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's cool, because I mean, you've grown considerably. I mean, you have quite a big staff.
Yeah, there's a team of 6 of us now. Yeah, when I started, it was just me. And yeah, I think 7 years now we've grown to 6 people. They're wonderful, and we've worked with over 50 businesses. I'd say probably over 60 at this point on some sort of communication campaign. And yeah, we have an ongoing retainer of clients now that we have a lot of fun working with.
So I would say I love the fun brand that you have, and the fact that you built your messaging around that. And when you go to your website, it's all about lights, lanterns, and compass, and just that whole campfire experience. So when you came up with the name, was that always going to be the plan, that it was going to be built around that sort of a theme? I mean, I suppose what I'm saying is it's very on-tech. I mean, everybody's grasping for some clever tech name because they're in digital marketing or they're attached to some tech type things. But what I love about yours is just such a down to earth, but it's such a great branding thing too, because I think you mentioned in your website you're sort of getting around the fire of what social media is and being able to do things like that. I mean, it's a great concept.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was It was a long branding process. We actually hired a colleague of mine here in town to help us with it. And when we first started having those meetings of what do we want our name to be, I feel like the most important piece to me goes back to that community aspect. Like I want people to see us and to understand like we're your friendly neighborhood marketing agency. We're not the guys in suits coming in to tell you exactly what you need, but we're the people who are sitting on the front porch with you and talking about your business and how we can help, grow you and thus boost up the community as a whole. And that's where the idea of Campfire came from, was the idea of, we're all just sitting around a campfire, telling stories, getting to know each other, talking about what's working and what's not, that friendly, neighborly vibe about it. And then on the opposite side of it, we realize that campfire is just a great metaphor for marketing in general. The work and the time that it takes to build a campfire or build a campaign, then you launch it and it goes aflame, but then you also need that work to tend to the fire to keep it burning bright over time. So
Yeah.
it's a great metaphor for our relationship with clients, but also the work we do too.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I mean, it's social media and sort of digital marketing in general is not a certainly it's grown a lot in the last since 2015. But do you find it's a challenge talking to clients about how valuable social media and digital marketing can be? Because business owners pretty much stick in a niche for a while, and a lot of them think social media is still a Facebook type thing where you put a post up every now and then about your business. And so is that sort of more of an educator, consultant type thing to begin with when you start talking to people?
It can be a lot of times for sure. And it's funny that you phrase it that way because I still on a regular basis have people come to me and say, I need someone to run my Facebook page. Can you do that for me? I'm like, yes, but let's also take a step back and talk about what your larger goal is and then form the plan to make that happen. So that's a lot of our onboarding process with clients is the education component. And even in that first meeting I have with them, like, here are all the things we could do for you. Not all of them are going to work with you. We need to figure out, who your target audience is, what your goals are, and then let us ask you the right questions to figure out where we need to go from here.
Yeah,
a lot of times that does include a Facebook page, but
those are interesting conversations because, as I say, a lot of business owners, especially your target business, the small business owners, just don't have that much experience working with the social media and sort of see where it can take them. Whether they think it's just a tool for posting stuff out there, being the latest sale you've got going on or something, or they don't realize the value in building your brand through social media.
Yeah, for sure. And to me, that's one of the most fun parts about my job is the strategy piece of it and figuring out those puzzle pieces and showing people like, okay, if you want to do this, we can do XYZ to help you accomplish that. Like other than just putting out the sale ad, here are ways we can build your audience. Here's ways that we can engage with your community. Here are some fun campaigns that we can run as a whole to help with that sale ad, other than just putting it out there to show people.
Yeah.
So when it finally clicks to people that this is a whole comprehensive campaign or a whole comprehensive package that we're working with, and it's not just we're going to post for you 4 times a week, that's when the fun really begins and they kind of see the bigger picture and what we can actually do for them.
I think people take marketing or sort of advertising in general as being a way to make the cash register ting. And it's branding, and certainly digital media world, it's not all about that. It's about profiles and raising that profile and setting that brand so that when people need that product or service, they remember that.
Oh, for sure. It's the brand awareness goal that I have to preach to people all the time.
Right.
And it's hard when you first start working with a client and they're like, all right, when can I start seeing results? Like, well, it's probably not going to be this month. Like, you're going to have to give us some time. Like, give me at least 6 months to get started, and then we'll start talking about those things. But yeah, it's not just we put a post up now your sales increased by 10%. There's no direct line there. There's
Yeah.
the brand visibility and the visibility and the showcasing who you actually are as a business, I think, are the two biggest ones. Those are always going to be your biggest goals. And then tangentially under that are going to be, raise XYZ.
Yeah. Yeah. So when somebody initially comes to you,
Mhm.
they think generalization, but generally they're not thinking brand awareness, they're thinking about increasing sales, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Get
Yeah.
more people through the door or onto their website or whatever that is. And that brand awareness is not something that they particularly, and I'm speaking in terms of like as a business coach, when I talk to
Mhm.
people, they've been working so long in their business, they don't recognize it for what it is anymore.
Mhm.
It's just this place they go and work every day, and they're not
Mhm.
really aware of all that branding that needs to go on. And that's part of what we do is say, well, you need to settle on what your brand is. But we had a session this morning where we were talking about what's your USP.
Mhm.
Do you know what that is? Nope. What is that? And even if you know that, do the rest of your team know what it is?
Mhm.
Um, and so all those opportunities to brand and to get that company profile a lot of people seem to miss out. And it appears from some of the things that you do, that's really part of the whole mission, is to get that brand and cohesive look and feel and get everybody communicating the right way.
Yeah, for sure. And those are several conversations we have with clients on the front end too. So if someone comes to me and says like, we really need to book more nights in our hotel, or we really need to make sure we're busy on a Friday night, or our sales need to increase by XYZ. Well, we have to start with who knows about you right now,
Yeah.
who doesn't know about you, who would be willing to buy your products. Okay, now how do we get them to know about you first before we get them to buy your product or use your service?
Yeah.
And when you start asking those questions and start piecing together those pieces, they start to get it. But you're right. I mean, sometimes I even get lost in my business and my team has to remind me that there's marketing too. Like you get so involved in the nitty gritty day to day things that you forget to take a step back. That's why you hire someone to help you with that,
Well, that's right. Yeah, it is. And you say the discussion this morning was,
Mhm.
when was the last time you looked at your business as a client
Mhm.
and as a prospect? Just
Mhm.
because you know everything about your business and you know all the great things that you can do, would a client know that? And
Mhm.
that's really what we're talking about here, is making that leap to say, how are you viewed by your clients? Why would they
Mhm.
choose you over the company down the street and whatever?
Mhm.
Yeah.
One of the questions we always ask is, if your brand was a person, how would he or she speak? And I think that one more than anything confuses people the most. They're like, but our brand's not a person. Our brand's a business. It doesn't speak. We're the people who speak. I'm like, yes, but you are communicating on behalf of your business. So what does that look like? You have to get into this frame of mind of, we are going to be putting messages out that aren't you, but are your business.
Yes.
And they are different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is,
Yeah.
and I'm saying, like the world of sales is changing to conversations. You're no
Mhm.
longer selling. You're constantly selling, but you're having selling through conversations
Mhm.
and making people aware of what you do and giving them just information just as part of those conversations. And I always think of like branding is another conversation, because
Mhm.
whenever you're talking about your business, you have to be talking about your brand, and it has to be consistent
Mhm.
across all your conversations. And that's how people
Mhm.
want to be sold these days. They don't want to be sold in the old-fashioned way. They want to just raise your hand marketing type thing. You're marketing to people until they go, hey, I want to learn more about that.
Mhm.
And see all the different aspects that you do sort of call to a good audience, because
Mhm.
everybody's out there and wants to be on digital, and they all want to be that, but it's got to be the same messaging that you're saying every day whenever you talk to people. Your speech through Facebook has to be the same as your actual real conversations.
Yeah, no, it actually does. It absolutely does. And it has to be either educational or entertaining. Going back to what you were saying before, like you can't just be saying, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. That's the old way of selling. Like it has to be conversational and you have to provide value to people. So if what you're putting out there isn't valuable, no one's going to listen to it. So is
Right.
it making them laugh? Is it showing them something new? Is it telling them something they don't know? Like what is it that's going to draw people in? So then you can start educating them about the value that you can provide.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's been your biggest challenge in starting this business? I mean, 2015, 2022, you've survived the first 5-year disaster zone. So you've come out from that side of it. So what was the challenges that you surpassed to can be in business still?
Sure. I mean, that 5-year mark really does hit different. I was telling somebody that the other day. Like once you get to the 5 years, like you take a little bit deeper breaths.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Is it like
Uh,
85% of businesses fail
mhm,
in the first 5 years? Something. Yeah.
something huge like that.
Yeah.
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 Um, I would say I don't. My biggest personal issues I've overcome would be the confidence and the fear of failure, which I had almost zero of when I started, like, especially going from that mindset of being an employee to running your own business. Like, I no longer have someone telling me what to do and setting my schedule, but I'm on my own and I have to figure out what I'm doing. And I have to be the ones that tell me that I'm great because nobody else is going to be telling me that I'm
That's
great.
right.
And
You become your own worst critic as
I've
well.
always been, oh yeah, I've always been my biggest doubter for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, the imposter syndrome was huge for a while. I think it takes a lot of time for experience wise and just getting to be more comfortable in your own skin to overcome that.
Yeah.
But yeah, 7 years later, it's a lot easier to know like, okay, I do belong here. I know what I'm doing. I've been out in the community and people really trust me with their time and their dollars and their business and the face of their business. So um, we've come a long way from there for sure. Um, on the business side of things, I my biggest original issue I think would was growing my client roster. You know, it's hard to get those first few clients to believe
Right.
in you, especially if you're having a hard time believing in yourself. But once you get like that first big client that's name recognition that really helps people like, oh, she knows what she's doing, so and so's entrusting her, it gets a lot easier from there.
Yeah.
Um,
I always
but
remember
yeah,
one of my
being able to,
startups. One of my startups, we're visiting a potential client, and way back when, and they said, "Yeah, we love what you do. We think it's fantastic, and I think it's going to be a great asset. But we'd really like to see you have more clients
Mhm.
before committing." I was like, "Well, how's that going to work? If everybody had the same
Yeah.
attitude, we got a great product and a great thing, but you can't commit
Mhm.
because we don't have any clients." And it is a difficult barrier to overcome, especially in a business like yours, though, because you are surrounded by freelance people
Mhm.
and people who want to be you in the future, and
Mhm.
so all that startup, and so there's an awful lot of smoke that flows around. I think people
Mhm.
obscure, oh yeah, I can do that for you because we used to get in our business when we used to build websites and we used to build digital stuff. People say, "Oh, my
Mhm.
nephew can do that," and it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, okay, but
Mhm.
that was the common refrain. Well, my nephew could do it for a lot less than that. And I think,
Mhm.
especially in your space, and especially with the people who are younger people who are graduating and have grown up around all this technology, they believe
Mhm.
that they know all there is to know about all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, I can't tell you the number of potential clients I've lost because someone's niece could do it for cheaper.
Yeah,
Yeah, it happens all the time.
yeah,
Uh, and it does too. I will say I'm thankful that we're in a community here in Memphis where everyone in the marketing world tends to support each other. So different, agencies and firms and freelancers have sent people to me if it's a better fit and vice versa, which is really
right,
helpful.
yeah,
Um, not everywhere's like that. But that being said, too, I feel like half of my job is keeping up with social media and keeping up with what the trends are to stay relevant for
cool,
that reason. And my team's a huge asset too. Like I have several 22-year-olds on my team, and they're incredible at what they do. And I really believe in them. And I think they're an important asset because, one, because they're young and they've grown up around it, and two, they're really smart. So understanding that social media and media relations and digital marketing in general is an ever evolving topic. I think recognizing it first is important, but being able to hire right to maintain that knowledge and then keeping up with it yourself is important too. And I feel like that's a lot of how we're different than some other people too, is we use our own social media at Campfire Collective to play around and keep up with trends. So everyone on the team has access to our Campfire Collective social media. And if they're wanting to test something out for a client or see how something works, I'm like, yeah, just log in and play with it, see if it works. So we kind of have that scientist experimental mentality around here.
That's great. Thank you so much for being today. How can people find out more about you guys?
Sure, you can visit our website at buildacampfire.com. And we are on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn at Build a Campfire.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah, thank you.